Okay. Life at the moment. Let me begin by saying I'm going to call it an episode. This is an episode I'm making because life is just real hard right now. It's just feeling a bit like, sure. The funny thing is that it's not actually around me that it feels like things are falling apart. I made this video on Instagram on my story. I asked the Lord to, I surrendered my life to the Lord. And I believe He works those kind of prayers in our hearts, to bring us closer to Him, because there's always going to be something in our hearts that ain't okay, and we will always need to lay things down before the Lord. And I prayed, Jesus, crying out, broken before the Lord. And He's just revealing the things. And it's learning amidst this not to find comfort in that which is not of the Lord. For instance, back in the day, being about, let's say, like 4 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago. So that's not entirely that much of a back in the day. But being someone that's had depression struggles most of my life, since being a teenager, and now that I'm 30, that's quite a long time. And having struggles with anxiety. So obviously you develop certain habits in terms of dealing with those episodes or with those struggles. And since I've gone to therapy, yes, I've gained certain tools and I've learned certain habits and have had to do the actual grunt work of unlearning certain habits and learning different ones, and continuously getting up after I've fallen to try again, and so that being said, I've definitely, even amidst unlearning certain things, learning different new things, I'm now in a place where now I've got to unlearn those things that I learned or that helped me at that point in my journey. So for instance, in my gap year, something that helped me a lot, honestly, something that actually just allowed me not to think too much, was binging series. That's something where I felt like, okay, I'm not just finding things to validate myself with by being busy, because that's definitely something that I've, had to unlearn, of wanting to, ek voel nie lekker nie, kom ek kry iets om my besig te hou en voel ek beter, want dan voel ek het iets achieve. Translation: I don't feel nice, I don't feel lekker, let me go find a project that I can do that is going to be a quick fix to make me feel better about myself, because then I achieved something. And I think there's definitely a difference between that and, let me actually just put my mind on something else than the spiral right now. Two different scenarios, because the one is as an escape of feeling down, and the other one is saying, I'm going to choose to think differently than choosing to meditate on my dark thoughts. It's two different things, and so the one can happen amidst the dark thoughts and the other one wants to run away from it. It's two different scenarios. And sometimes it depends on the situation. It depends on how difficult things are. But on the one end, it's just learning to trust that God's strength is actually enough. So I'm kind of like on the other side, I want to say, like on the other side of something, it's like something, but kind of like on the other side of that way of dealing with depression or dealing with anxiety, really. Because here's the thing, I've gone through burnout, 2021. I was in a heavy burnout. After that, it was really a means of starting afresh, like period. Like, oh, breaking down some walls, breaking down some things that were like, okay, but this is literally everything and all of the kingdoms that you've tried to build on your own foundation, not on the foundation of God's love and not on the foundation of truth. This is on a foundation of like an illusion of who you are, you know, and of your strength. And so it really was a matter of just a lot of breaking down of walls and rebuilding ruins and really being amidst ruins. It's not lekker when you look at your life and you're like, what, my life is a mess, and feeling like all these things that you've built on the sand is now crumbling, and you're like, but my life's a mess, when that's actually the most beautiful time for the Lord to restore. And I'm actually just hearing that, I'm like, okay, that's actually encouraging me right now, because it feels like, okay, here's a lot of things that I don't like about myself, you know, and that I've tried to hide from you, Jesus, that I've tried to deal with in my own way, Jesus, you know. And now it's like, okay, but actually, will you take this? And now he's taking it. And it's like, do I even want this crown? The AFM church is no crown without a cross. Because you cannot have that crown if you ain't picking up that cross. And so I'm like, do I even, you know? But God is faithful to help me nonetheless. It's the thing of, you know, I want to pursue God and I want the next thing that He has for me. And, you know, I want to be ready and I want to be prepared for what He has for me. But it's that thing of not wanting to struggle to get there. And as childish as that sounds, and yes, there's a lot of, you know, struggles that I have gone through with the Lord to get even to where I am now, where I had this very same conversation, but it keeps on coming up because I know this is something that I didn't really learn as a kid, how to struggle well. Because I don't think you learn that as an adult. I think you learn that as a kid already, and you learn how to, if you're so blessed in order to learn it as a kid, how to struggle healthily. Because I think there's a way to do that, and it's so valuable. Something that I definitely envision, God willing, to teach my kids and to show my kids how to struggle well, how to be okay with the negative emotions, you know, and how to be okay with sitting through the discomfort. So that when they're adults, you know, they will probably still struggle with it 100% because they will be fallen beings, but it's going to be different for them. And so for me, it's definitely just learning how to struggle well. And that's definitely a big emphasis right now in my life at the moment. It's learning once again how to struggle well, and how for certain things not to be put on hold or on pause for like months or a month or whatever, just because I'm not feeling well. And there's a difference between, okay, I need to acknowledge my emotions, I need to take time out. Life is more difficult at the moment emotionally, so I need to actually create room for me to struggle and not, you know, have a full schedule. So I'm doing that, but just having that awareness that, okay, you know, I've still got to, ek moet nog steeds my hare borsel. Something as small as that. When you're depressed, you ain't feeling like doing none of those things. You don't feel, when you're depressed, you don't feel like brushing your teeth. Okay, I brush my teeth every morning when I'm depressed, but you don't feel like brushing your teeth, and you don't feel like taking a shower. It's just navigating that. Well, how do I recognize God's strength amidst the difficulty that I'm facing? It's just learning how to struggle well, and how to value the lessons that I'm learning amidst this difficulty. That's really something that's I think is very important to learn, especially if you felt like you've always failed, and you've not known how to get out of that failure rut. But when you actually learn how to struggle well, how to fail well, I know that sounds, but how to fail well. If it's messy, let it be messy. Not trying to control the mess, but actually just accepting the mess for what it is, letting it be messy, and then dealing with it amidst that, you know, that discomfort with just things being imperfect, or, you know, like and learning how to accept God's love amidst that. That's something that He's really dealt with me quite a bit already, and He's continuing to do that. and also just welcoming in his presence in the spaces where it's like, okay, but actually, I don't think your holy presence makes sense here. But it's exactly in those spaces where it does. It's exactly in those spaces where it also just, you see God's glory for what that crushing really means. You know, when they say, you know, the crushing of the olives and how the oil comes out, and you then see it in the crushing, you know, how the anointing comes. And so